The next thing I want to do here, pull a little bit of water. This is a Norton like medium whetstone. Yeah, medium fine. Well, I have this burr. I have a very sharp edge here, but it's got a burr on it. We want to get rid of that. So we're going to rub it along this stone, get rid of the burr, and we're going to hone it to a finer edge. Flip it. And the other side. Following that angle. If you sharpened knives before, this is the same type of feeling you're looking for. Don't just worry about the angle. Feel the edge. You can feel what the stone will give you some feedback. I'm feeling a much smoother edge now that we've done a little bit of honing. We're going to do a little bit more honing. And as I flip, I'm letting it contact the stone. Because I want that sharp angle, but I don't want a razor sharp edge. I don't want a harp that's going to cut somebody's mouth. So we're knocking that burr off. And we're also, as we flip it, I'm dulling it just a little bit, just on the end. I want the angle to be sharp, but the edge not to be totally sharp. I can slide my fingers right along. I don't feel any drag. I feel a little bit of drag right here. That means I've still got some burr there. Get rid of that burr. Flip it. Okay, now I feel smooth, nice and smooth. Because these Snoopy harps, when you first get them, look at that, there's no edge on it. Look where I've done this. There's a sharp edge, but it won't cut me. That's what we want. Next, I like to stroke the edge. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 1, 2. Just knifing right along like I'm cutting into it. And I'm going to go back and forth, back and forth. And we have this loop on here, so we're just gonna go ahead and use the edge. And what we're doing is we're stropping, we're massaging a finer burr off that. You can do the same thing for knife sharpening and axe sharpening. You can strop on wood, you can strop on cardboard, you can strop on leather. All it is it's not really removing any extra metal. It's just polishing the edge a little bit smoother. Wood is a fantastic way to do this, especially when you're doing stuff like axes, stuff like harp reeds. Because wood is pretty abrasive. It's not as abrasive as any type of stone, but it's abrasive in its own right. There we go. Now I got a nice, smooth feeling. Now let's look at the trueness of this harp frame before we put the reed back in. Here it's sitting pretty flat on the back of my anvil. I got a little bump there. It's not straight, but on this other side, see how it raises up off? There's a gap there. It means my frame's twisted. Let's see if we can go ahead and get that twist out of my frame. Okay, I know that I have, by pressing, I have a twist there. I can sight down it. And see, actually the twist is on the other side. Sometimes it deceives you. I'm straight there. This is the side with the twist in. Let's see if I can just press that right out of there. It's right there in the middle. There we go. There's a little angle on the arms where it was like, bop. That was pushing us out of true. We're still off just a little bit. I don't like it when harp frames are twisted like that. See if I can discern exactly where it's at. Here we go, it's right here. This needs to be down. Let's go over to the press. Okay, we've determined which arm is off. This arm here is curving up just a little bit. Go ahead and see if we can press that out. Got to be careful doing this. It's super easy to go too much and then your harp frame bends. Okay, there we go. See it lifting up? Let's see if it sits flat on this flat surface. There we go. There it was right there. That was the magic. Now we're sitting flat on a flat surface. I can't press on one side and one side comes up. Actually, I got one arm here that goes up just a little bit. We have the remedy right here for it. We ain't even gonna cut, we're just gonna move the camera around. Go ahead and be dizzy. Now we have this arm here is bending. It's bending off this way, this dimension just a little bit. I'm gonna take my handy dandy wood block. There's a piece of 2x4. Let's see if I can true it right back up. How are we on the anvil? Much better. Both of these frames were badly twisted. So now that we've got our frame set straight, we're going to go ahead and put our reed right back in. Now I have my vise turned sideways. We're going to use our vise table that we've built in previous videos. All it is a 16-inch piece of 2x4 with an 8-inch piece of 2x4 screwed onto it. perpendicular to it so we can have a nice table right into our vise. We're going to set our harp right back up on there. I'm going to take just a plain clamp, a little rubber pad on it. We're going to clamp this down. Don't use too much pressure when you do this or you will warp the entire harp. We're going to set our reed back in here. And we're going to see how this goes. This may require a little bit more force. Go ahead and take this table right back out of here. I have to clamp down harder, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to warp my whole frame. Let's go ahead and let's try it like this. Let's see what happens. Got a pair of pliers that I took the teeth off of. There we go. And I can kind of, if I see it's going off at an angle, I can kind of adjust it from there. I have to use more pressure. Come on now. There we go, all the way, seated down. Before, when I discovered this reed was loose, the reed was pushed back almost 1/8 of an inch. See how we are. See, we're offset. We don't want that. We want to take it back. And this reed channel may not work out too well because they cut it too big. I want it centered in there. But yeah, they cut this reed channel in just a little bit too big. Let's use a punch and let's see if we can seat that in there just a little bit deeper to fill up more area on the reed channel. Here, I have a punch. I want to put it just right on my reed and see what happens here. Drive it in there because I want it seated. I want my reed to be seated in that channel tight before I crimp it. If not, if there's space, then the reed travels back and forth. Or it just allows an area where it can move over time. You play it for an hour and then you notice your reed's clinking because it's drifted to the side. We don't want any area in that. We're going to call it a reed bed. I don't know what the technical name is. I'm not a very technical guy. I'm just a guy with a hammer and some tools. Now there, I'm sitting offset. And whenever I build harps, I build them with a lot more precision than this. We're not going to worry about that type of precision on a $3 tool, but we're going to get this as best as we can. I'm going to center it as best we can. Let's go ahead and see if we can reinstate this crimp. Ooh, reinstate. I don't even know if I used it correctly, but we're using it anyways. Now what I have here is I have a railroad tie, my little punch or pin tool, and Grandpa Beb's hammer. See if we can tighten this up a little bit on each side. Yes, that reed channel was never cut in correctly, so it's drifting to the side. Let's see if we can go ahead and close both of these. I don't know if I can do this. Normally, when I cut in reed channels, I cut them in very, very tight. But I can see at the back, oh yeah, there we go. We can see at the back when we've got a little gap in the corner, we know, okay, there's more room in that reed channel. Okay, it's not moving back, so that's a good sign. That's a good sign that our crimps are closing. You want to kind of pay attention when you're doing this to what side you're closing, what side needs closed, so you don't have it drift too far to one side. In your harp building, make sure you cut your reed channels as tight and as close to the profile of the reed as possible, and you'll have less drift. That's something I have fought and fought and fought in harp making, is cutting in reed channels that are exactly so your reed slides in just like a puzzle piece, so there's not much metal to close. The more metal you have to close, the more your harp's going to deform. But blah, 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 we're going to continue this crimp. And we're holding pretty well center. Going back and forth, just walking. There it is. Yeah, that reed is crimped in there pretty well. It kind of offset a little bit, like I said would happen when your channel isn't made right. Let's see if we can just, no, there's no moving it. Test your reeds, pull back and forth, see what happens with them. Yeah, that reed is crimped in there.